YouTube, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Kiz, and today I'm bringing you guys a new type of video. We're going to be doing a warm-up routine that I use every day whenever I'm playing scrims, to league matches, to streams, to rank play. I'm a professional Call of Duty player for the Riyadh Falcons, and I've also finished top 250 in rank play season 1. Now, rank play season 2 is coming out pretty soon, and a lot of people constantly ask me, Kiz, how do you shoot so straight? What do you do? What dead zones do you use? What sensitivity? That kind of thing. So today's video is going to kind of go through those things and also what I do to make sure that I'm prepared for long gaming sessions and just feel good. Now, whenever you're in Call of Duty, the first thing that you want to do whenever you go to private matches, you want to make sure that you have the right classes for free-for-all. Now, you can use whatever build you want. You can use my build, another streamer's build, your build, anything like that. It doesn't really matter to me. You just want to make sure that you have the M15 and the Drevek or whatever guns are the meta at the time. And as far as the pistol and all that kind of stuff that goes, you don't need to really worry about it. The biggest thing is for perks, you want to have lightweight, fast hands, dexterity, and scavenger. The main one is scavenger because having scavenger just allows you to get, extra ammo and just keep flow. And you can listen to music while you're doing this and just, same thing with the Drevek. Make sure they have scavenger on. Simple, nothing too crazy. Now, we're going to go over some settings. Now, this isn't a settings guide, but it's going to be talking about a couple settings in-game that you want to make sure that you change to make your aiming feel better. So we're going to go over to controller, right? Now, I use 1.75. Sensitivity-wise, I would say unless you're an anomaly and or already a professional or top challengers player, you want to make sure that you stick with a sensitivity between 1.5 and 1.8. Now, as far as which sensitivity will work for you, I would recommend when you go into the free-for-all, into the private match, shoot about 10 to 20 bots with each sensitivity from 1.5 all the way up to 1.8. And just kind of, self-evaluate what feels good. If it feels too slow, bump it up a little bit. If it feels too fast, bump it down a little bit. But try to move in 0.5 increments is usually my best recommendation. If you really need to go into the nitty-gritty and move 0.01 each time, all power to you. Do whatever you need to do. But I work with 1.75. I used to be a 1.65 player, but with this game and having wall bouncing, I feel 1.75 is just a little bit better, in my opinion. So I use 1.75. Again, 1.5 to 1.8. Go test it yourself, figure out which one works the best for you. Don't really go above that because then you're just getting too fast. Now we're going to go down to dead zones. Now dead zones are going to be different for every controller, but most of the time, most controllers will be able to run these dead zones, and I recommend them just because they just feel the most natural, feel good, give you a lot of control, but still, give you a lot of, a response time, if that makes sense. So on left stick minimum, I like 1. I know a lot of players like 0, but I think 1 is a little bit better because it eliminates those weird adjustments that sometimes happen when you don't want them to as you're a dead zone. So I prefer 1, and then left stick max 75. Now, the reason I use 75 is because if you think about your thumbstick whenever you move it forward and you push it all the way to the top, that would be 99. That would be full range of motion for your stick. Now, that takes, even if it's a 0.05, I don't even know, some crazy millisecond difference between 99 and 75, those milliseconds is what Call of Duty is and what may, be a difference between you strafing to kill an opponent or sliding away and getting away and staying alive and playing your life. So I like 175, and then right stick minimum 3. It still has a lot of response time, but it eliminates those tiny, tiny little micro adjustments you don't want to happen whenever you're trying to focus on aim and keeping your shot on. And the right stick max, you want to make sure it's always 99 because you want full range of motion on your right stick whenever you're aiming. Left trigger and right trigger, I like 1. I just find that it responds the fastest. It could be a placebo. I know some players use it higher. I just prefer 1. So, again, that one's kind of up to you, but I think 1 is a good place to just put it at. It feels good. I don't have any complaints, so, yeah. Next, we're going to go over to aiming. Now, you want to make sure that whenever you go to aiming advanced settings. Now, you have 3 different options on aim response curve type. You have standard, you have linear, and you have dynamic. And in my professional opinion, I think that if you are, again, an anomaly and you want to use something else, all power to you, use whatever you want. I believe that if you're trying to become a professional Call of Duty player, a high-end top 250 or challengers player, that kind of thing, you want to get good at dynamic. Now, dynamic is a weird curve type that is when you initially switch to it, but if you get good at understanding your recoil control, the way the gun feels, the way the movement feels with the aim assist, rotational aim assist, that kind of thing, dynamic will naturally, not literally aim for you, but it will do a lot for you and make those situations whenever you're shooting those long-range gunfights, different things, it just makes it easier. So I recommend putting on dynamic and then make sure you press square or whatever button corresponds with, showing more, and make sure that it's all the way at a 1.0. You don't want anything less than that. Next, we're going to go over to interface, and you're going to go to gameplay HUD. You're going to scroll down here on crosshair lines and crosshair dot. You want to make sure that both of these are on static. I believe they're defaulted on, Make sure they're static. It just keeps it keeps it from moving around when you're moving, and it just makes your life a lot easier. And then on crosshair dot, I usually play default, but for this video's sake, I would put larger on, and as well as for most of you guys, whenever you're doing these aim training and these routines, to put this on larger. It's just going to help you with centering. I'll explain centering more throughout the video, but centering is a big part of aiming, and I think with the larger crosshair dot, it just kind of it forces you to see it bigger and forces you to think about it more whenever you're playing. So make sure you put that on larger. Now, once you're in the game, you've done the settings, we've done the classes. Now we're going to talk about our game setup. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this game mode on free-for-all. We're going to swap the map over to Scar. Now, Scar, the reason I like Scar for free-for-all is simply because you want a map that's going to have you close-range gunfights and mid-range gunfights and sometimes long-range gunfights. You don't want to do a free-for-all in Nuketown because every gunfight's going to be pretty close unless you're a sub player or something like that. But I prefer Scar. You could do Blackheart's not a bad map. You know, whatever makes you feel comfortable to warm up on, you can do on, but I prefer Scar. Up to you. We're going to go over to rules. Now, for rules, pretty simple. You want to swap the time limit to 45 minutes and the score limit to 1,000. That way you have plenty of time and plenty of kills. You're going to swap over to team. Make sure you put radar always on directional. Okay, and then the last setting that you want to change, this one's going to make your life a lot easier whenever you're doing these warm-ups, and it's going to take away the annoyance of a free-for-all against bots. You want to go to gameplay, and you want to change allow field upgrades to off. That way they can't put no jammer down, no nothing. Okay, it's just gun and only gunny. And you want to scroll down here to score streaks and make sure you turn score streaks off. And then when you have score streaks and field upgrades off, the bots will just only shoot their gun. It makes it a lot easier. Now, you want to then come over here. I've obviously already added all the bots, but you want to add bots, add 11, keep them on regular. Don't do hardened, don't do veteran, don't do mixed. Just keep them on regular. If you want to do recruit, you can. I prefer regular because they will still shoot back occasionally. But you don't want them to just beam you like, you know, like you're in an actual public match or whatever. So once you have all that stuff sorted, you just then begin the match, and we'll get back to it whenever we get to the match. All right, now that you're in the free-for-all, I'm going to go over two things before we get into the actual aim training routine portion, just so that you guys can understand what goes through my mind whenever I'm thinking Call of Duty and whenever I'm shooting my gun. Now, one of the biggest things to deal with in Call of Duty is you're going to want to worry about is recoil control. Now, every gun in Call of Duty is honestly pretty simple when it comes to recoil control. I'm not going to lie. It's not rocket science. It's literally when you shoot, just pull down on your right stick. Now, it's not pull your right stick all the way down. I mean, I'm talking like this is how far, like I'm pulling it down very slow. You see what I'm saying? Like it is not a fast motion. It's a very slow pull down, but it's just a equate for the recoil control. Recoil control in Call of Duty isn't quite like CS or Val or anything like that, where people are like, you know, at a hard 7 bullets you need to fully reset. It's I say after about 10 bullets in Call of Duty, if you're still like shooting kind of crazy after 10 bullets, unless you're in like a very, you know, long range gunfight that it's going to take a lot more bullets to kill, then maybe you commit more than 10. But I would say after 10 bullets would be your safety point of like resetting your recoil. So if you're here, you don't even have to shoot bots. It's literally just shoot a couple bullets, just constantly controlling that recoil, getting that feel of pulling it down. You know, you can see your bullets trace, like your tracers of your bullets, just constantly making sure that those are just shooting in a, you know, in a straight matter. You know, you could shoot further back. The further you shoot, the more you have to pull down. Obviously, you'll get that feel. But just kind of, you know, just toying around with this, just kind of feeling like, okay, I see the recoil. I see what Kiz is talking about. Like, it doesn't have to be on a bot. You just want to shoot around the target that you're trying to shoot. Let's say I'm trying to shoot up off the heady. All my bullets just go around the top of the truck. You know, pretty simple. Just constantly pull down. I would say after about 10 bullets is when you want to like reset, and then the better that you get, you know, I could sit here and shoot 28 bullets into the shop, unless that thing kills me. You know what I'm saying? So now, obviously, I'm breaking the rule that I set up 10 bullets, but once you get good at it, you'll be able to shoot full clips like that and keep your bullets, you know, constantly, you know, recoil control. And that also goes with this game also being like wall bouncing. It's still the same thing. When you're shooting, you pull down. Okay, not too hard, not a rocket science thing, but sometimes people have problems like understanding that. And I think it's just a matter of practicing it and just creating that muscle memory of like, okay, I understand what he's saying. Like, it actually is just a simple pull down. The game aims for you for a lot of times because of controller aim assist, I'm not gonna lie, and rotational aim assist, but you still need to understand those, you still need to understand those small micro adjustments so that whenever you're shooting, you have full control, right? So simple enough. Recoil control. Next, we're going to go over is centering. Now, centering is something that in Call of Duty, I can't tell you how many people I see look at the ground, right? I don't know what update you guys have been playing, but people do not spawn out of the ground. They don't pop out of the ground. We haven't learned how to dig into Call of Duty yet. You know, maybe in a new update there's a way to, but whenever you're running around in Call of Duty, you should never be running around like this. This is bad. No. You want to up your aim, and you want to aim where you predict where people are going to be at. So if people are going to be, you know, challenging this P2 on Scar on this head glitch, they're going to be here. You don't want to aim at the head glitch here, and you don't want to aim like here or like over here, because they're going to be swinging from this corner, right? You want to be in the middle, and you want to constantly have your dot like ready to go for these gunfights where they will actually appear on your screen. And whenever you're running around, you want to constantly be predicting it. So whenever you're coming around this corner, right, you can't sit here and be like, you know, you can't come around this corner and just look at this and be like, oh crap, he's up top, and snap to him. No, like you want to be constantly like cutting that pie. Oh, I saw him on the head glitch. You know, I'm centering for that. I'm ready for it. Okay, he's not here. I'm centering. Like my aim is already, like my brain is thinking a step ahead of where I'm actually at on the map. So if I come here and I'm centering for the head glitch, boom. Oh, I saw him. You know, I chow. You know, shoulder, boom. Oh, I see him. Chow. That kind of thing. Okay, maybe shoulder, don't see him. Shoulder, oh, I see him up top, but like my centering is already there. You know what I'm saying? So like it's a very niche concept and a very simple concept, but I think a lot of people overlook how good centering actually is and why it gets me a lot of kills, right? I mean, obviously in professional play, everybody's centering well, but in ranked play, that's one of the biggest things that I get kills with, because I'm just constantly predicting where people might be. Now, with good centering comes its negatives. Obviously, you're going to be, you know, you want people to be like, yo, this guy's hacking because he's looking through walls. Like, no, I'm not necessarily, I'm looking through walls, but not in a hacker way. I'm doing what Kiz said. I'm centering where I'm predicting where, you know, the opponent should be, or where I think they might be. So centering is a pretty simple concept. It's just a matter of practicing it. And whenever you're, you know, you're going around, you just constantly want to like have your aimer like just centered where opponents could be, rather than at the ground or up in the sky, or, you know, at some random wall that it's impossible for them to come out of. If that makes sense. And again, like I said, for the middle dot on your screen, like I said, if you put it on larger, you can see on my screen that it's bigger. It's just naturally you want to look at it more, and you want to just make sure that that's always constantly where your opponent may be. So now that we've gone over recoil control and centering, we're going to go into the actual aim routine that I use. So what we're going to do is you're going to go over to the controller, and you're going to go to aiming, and you see target aim assist. You're going to want to flip this to off. Now you might ask, Kiz, why am I turning my aim assist off? I would never play Call of Duty without aim assist. And that is true, but whenever you play without aim assist, you're creating a connection between your mind and your thumbs, and also with your eyes. You're understanding like, okay, that the game's not going to aim for me right now. I simply have to make those micro adjustments of whenever I'm shooting. Now, when you're shooting, do not aim for the head. Try not to aim for the feet. Aim at the chest level. That way that you're in the middle of them. The gun naturally will recoil a little bit, and you'll be able to keep it on them. But you're just aiming. You're picking the point on the body that you're shooting for. And whenever you're shooting without aim assist, I want you to go and find someone. So let's say this character here. I see him spawn. I'm going to kill him. Watch my movement whenever I kill him. I go here. He's on my screen. I stop. My left stick is not moving at all whenever I'm shooting. I'm only using my right thumb while I'm aiming and whenever I'm doing no aim assist. And the reason for that being is because I don't have aim assist or rotational aim assist. I don't want to add in extra strafing to like create off centering of the aim assist or whatever it may be, because you don't have aim assist. I'm simply just training my right thumb to be on the target. So you want to do this for about 100 kills to 150 kills, and once you do it, like, you're gonna get a little bit better as it goes on. But I promise you, I've been doing it for a long time. I still miss just like that, but I promise you, like, it's creating like your brain to think about like, okay, keep the dot on him without aim assist. You're working on those micro adjustments that you usually can't work on when you have aim assist. So do that for about 100 to 150 kills. Once you feel kind of confident, like, okay, I'm awake, I'm shooting, maybe even you're shooting a couple long range gunfights, and you're like, okay, I'm shooting well, like as well as I can without aim assist. You're gonna go over, and you're gonna controller, and you're gonna turn aim assist back on, and you're gonna do the exact same thing, but just with aim assist. So when you usually you'll be moving, when you see the person stop, and then you aim right stick. You know what I'm saying? You want to aim right stick and keep it on them the best that you can. Now, obviously, in Call of Duty, there's a thing called rotational aim assist. We're not activating rotational aim assist with this, because we're just training our right thumb to being, understand the aim with aim assist. Without rotational aim assist, it's pretty simple, but it's just going to create that connection. Now, once you've done 150 bots of this, 100 to 150, it's up to you. Obviously, you can condense this down to 50 if you need to, whatever your routine looks like, or however much time you have to warm up. You just want to make sure that you get through all these steps and whatever makes sense. Now, for the last thing, you've obviously been doing this with all chest shots. I want to add in one more routine. We're going to go over rotational aim assist. Now, rotational aim assist is basically you have natural aim assist whenever you're here, right? Whenever you're here, you can't quite see it, but you could feel like your gun slowing down. If you pair that with your left stick movement, it's going to create more aim assist. So whenever you're here and you're moving left stick to right stick, it just gives you more aim assist. And whenever you're in gunfights, it's going to be a harder gunfight. So now what I want you to do is 100 bots again to 150, whatever, you know, feels good for you. I want you to add in small steps like this, left and right, left and right. It's such a tiny movement, but you would think like on your screen, like, ah, nah, there's nothing really happening. But on your opponent's screen, you're strafing. Like it makes it harder for you to be hit. And now that's another big thing in Call of Duty whenever you're aiming is you also want to be a hard target. So whenever you're here, same thing. We're just going to activate that rotational aim assist every gunfight you see. Nothing crazy, no crazy movements, just constant left, right, left, right. It's going to create that rotational aim assist. It's going to make you feel a little bit more confident in your shot, and you're just going to feel, you know, you're going to feel good about it. And that's what we want. So whenever you've done this, you're going to feel, you know, at this point you should feel pretty good about your aim. You should feel like, you know, you're shooting quite straight. You could do this with the Trevec. You could do this with the M15. You could do a little bit of both. You can swap, you know, half and half with each gun. Up to you. But you should be shooting quite well here. And then the last little thing that I like to do, and this one isn't really like a, it's not necessary, but sometimes I like to do it because it makes me like really focus on something in the gunfight, is go for like 50 headshots. And this is with aim assist on. And, you know, you can use rotational aim assist if you want. I find it a little bit easier to just stand still because the rotational aim assist just creates like a little bit extra like movement that's just like hard. You obviously will never shoot straight headshots whenever you're playing Call of Duty, and it's just impossible. But if you just aim for it, I don't know. It's something that's just, it makes me feel more confident in my aim, and it's something to just, you know, make sure that my thumb feels really good whenever I'm playing COD. So that's my aim assist. That is my aim routine that I do all the time whenever I'm playing Call of Duty for league matches, for rank play, for streams, and that kind of thing. With that being said, this routine isn't going to just magically make you better, but it's going to make sure that you're feeling more confident with your shots, right? Everything, like I said, is a connection between your mind to your eyes to your thumbs, okay? And I've played Call of Duty for so long, so like it's a natural thing, but a lot of people constantly ask me how to get better, and this is definitely something that you can do every day. You don't have to be the best player. You don't have to be the worst player. You can be any type of level of player in doing this. And I promise you that you will feel a lot better whenever you're playing Call of Duty. So leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the video. Let me know if you guys like this kind of video. Let me know what you guys might want to see going forward. I know people constantly, I just got back from Major 2 in Birmingham, and people had so many questions for me. All the different fans and different people, they were always like, your kids asking me this, that, this, and that. So if you guys have any kind of questions that you guys really want to, you know, deep dive into my brain and ask me how I do things or what I might do XYZ, I'm more than happy to do it. I'm trying to think back to whenever I was on my come up and the type of videos that I love to watch. And this was something I remember I would watch all the time to just see how these players, you know, did what they did. So I hope you guys like this type of video. If you guys did, let me know. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace.